$347,292 per month. That number probably triggered something in your brain right now. Maybe curiosity, maybe skepticism, maybe both. And that exact psychological reaction is why most entrepreneurs never achieve 10x growth during economic transitions. Because their brains are wired to see big numbers as unrealistic rather than achievable. But what if I told you that number represents a predictable mathematical outcome based on principles that work whether you believe in them or not? I want you to notice something happening in your mind right now as you hear about workforce adjustments across Canada. Are you feeling anxiety, concern, maybe even a little fear? That's your brain's threat detection system activating. And it's about to cost you the biggest opportunity of your entrepreneurial career. Because here's the psychological truth about economic transitions. Your brain is naturally risk-averse. It's designed to protect you from loss rather than position you for gain. And right now, across Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, Montreal, millions of entrepreneurial brains are being hijacked by this exact wiring. But the 3% who understand this wiring are about to experience growth that seems impossible to everyone else. Let me show you how this wiring plays out in real time. Meet Mark from Toronto. When the market started shifting, Mark's brain did exactly what yours is probably doing right now. It screamed, "Danger! Cut costs! Play safe!" And for the first 30 days, he followed that wiring. He stopped investing. He tried to do everything himself. He played not to lose, rather than playing to win. But then something fascinating happened. Mark discovered that his brain's wiring was actually backwards for wealth creation. Because when you study 3,000 years of economic patterns, you discover that all major wealth transfers happen when most brains are screaming, "Danger." It's the ultimate psychological paradox. So Mark did something that felt completely wrong emotionally, but was completely right mathematically. He actually increased his investment in strategic delegation. He hired 2 virtual assistants, brought on a specialized project manager, and focused 100% of his energy on growth activities. And his brain fought him every step of the way. "I feel like I'm being irresponsible," he told me. "This goes against everything my gut is telling me." And that's exactly the point. Your gut is wired for survival in a world that no longer exists. But data is wired for success in the world that's emerging right now. The result? Within 11 months, Mark's agency went from $80,000 to $347,890 per month. And here's the psychological breakthrough. He was working 40 hours per week instead of 70, because he stopped letting his brain's scarcity wiring determine his business strategy. Now let me show you the exact psychological framework that made this possible. It starts with what I call ROI awareness. Most entrepreneurs are completely unaware of how their time actually converts to money. And this ignorance allows their brain's fear centers to make terrible business decisions. I saw this with a web development agency in Vancouver. The owner was spending 15 hours per week on client support calls because his brain told him good service means being always available. But when we calculated the actual ROI, we discovered these calls were generating 0 additional revenue. They were just feeding his brain's need to feel helpful while costing him growth. So we created a simple FAQ system and trained a virtual assistant to handle basic support, saved him 15 hours per week, and he used that time to land 2 enterprise clients worth $25,000 per month. That's the power of seeing your time through a mathematical lens rather than an emotional one. Now here's where the psychology gets really advanced, building what I call antifragile mindset. Most Canadian entrepreneurs have what I call fragile psychology. Their confidence breaks under pressure. Their decisions become reactive rather than strategic. But the entrepreneurs who thrive during uncertainty have rewired their psychology to actually get stronger under pressure. Let me give you the ultimate psychological case study. A consulting firm in Calgary. When the energy sector experienced adjustments, most consulting firms saw their revenue drop 40–60%. But this particular firm actually grew 214% during the same period. How? Because the owner had what I call anti-fragile psychology. Instead of panicking when his primary market shifted, he saw it as data. Instead of cutting costs emotionally, he invested strategically. Instead of following his brain's fear, he followed mathematical patterns. And he told me something that will change how you see business forever. During good times, anyone can make money. But during challenging times, that's when you discover who actually built a real business versus who was just riding a wave. And that leads me to the most important psychological principle: understanding timing from a brain perspective. Right now, across Canada, we're at what psychologists call a window of psychological opportunity. Most brains are panicking, which means competitive advantage is available for the few who understand this moment. I'm seeing this right now in Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal. The businesses experiencing 10x growth are the ones whose owners have done the psychological work to see opportunity where others see only threat. So here's your psychological prescription for 10x growth. First, develop ROI awareness for every hour you spend. Second, build antifragile psychology that strengthens under pressure. Third, recognize that right now is the perfect psychological moment to make counterintuitive moves. If you're ready to rewire your entrepreneurial psychology, I've created something that makes this incredibly simple for Canadian business owners. It's a free calculator that shows you exactly which psychological traps you're falling into and how to escape them using mathematical delegation. Completely free. Just click below. Remember, your current psychology was designed for a different world, but the world has changed, and the entrepreneurs who thrive will be the ones who update their psychological software first. So take action now, because the biggest growth opportunity isn't in the market. It's in upgrading how your brain sees the market.